How did you make the decision to go to Stevens?
Well, there was a teacher down at Cowley by the name of Lenan. Her last name was Lenan. And she was the greatest influence on my life of anybody. She taught me in high school English. And that first year I was down there, but she was down there for years. A great gal. And I don't know what happened to her. But she's the one who first introduced me to Stevens. And
had she gone there?
no, I don't honestly know. But she used to get a lot of correspondence about it, and so she would bring it to me, and then she would just keep digging at me to get it, because she felt like that was the kind of a place that I'd get what I wanted, see. And I started dreaming, daydreaming. And I just dreamt about it, and there again, Hank, I was not so dumb, but what I knew, that if I was ever going to get anything out of school, I was going to have to get away from boys. Because see, in high school, I just spent my 4 years running around with boys, and I could see that I would never be a student that way. So that was another reason I wanted to go to Stevens.
Stevens being a girls'
school, see.
2-year school.
Because there again, if they're not around, then I didn't think about them. If they were there, that's what I wanted to do, see. And so I just loved it. I just loved Stevens. That 2 years were the most wonderful years of my life. I just adored it.
What did you study?
Because I did fine arts. That's all I did, see. I worked on nothing but fine arts, and I got an associate degree in fine arts there. And no boys to distract me. They wouldn't let you do anything that, and what few parties we went to were with the Kemper Military Academy. And what was the name of the boy that used to live with the Knights? Don Kinney? Was that his name?
I don't know.
Well, Mr. Goppert was his guardian. His parents had died, and they sent him. And Mr. Goppert sent him to Kemper, and so I got in on all the Kemper parties, see, because of him, and so that was about the only social life I had while I was there. But I didn't even care, see, because I was doing what I wanted to do, and there weren't any boys around. So it was great. I loved it. But because it did so much for me, and because I loved it so much, Dad insisted Mary Louise go. And it was not Mary Louise's cup of tea. No. She hated it. She hated it. Because she was a whole different type of person. Sure. See, she was a student. She liked school, and she was smart, and she just didn't like it. So she just suffered through it. But then, see, we're all different.
How did you decide to go to Chicago?
Well, there again, from Stevens, see, I wanted to go into to do more in fine arts, and so I just wanted to go to the Academy of Fine Arts in Chicago. And of course, that had more influence on me than anybody because I met Bruce Goff.
Who's he?
Well, he was one of my teachers there, see, and he's the one that introduced me to Mr. Wright. He's the one that introduced me to architecture, and of course, to this day, that's all I ever read. Every book I've got is on architecture. I just love it, and that's all I've ever cared about.
How long were you?
But I never would have made an architect because I wasn't good in math, see.
How long were you in Chicago?
2 years.
Where did you live while you were there?
Well, the first year I moved in originally to the Elmer Club, and that's a girls' club that was on the Midway on the south side of Chicago, right across the street from the University of Chicago. It was on the campus of the University of Chicago, and it was built for the students at the university, but of course Dad wouldn't turn me loose in Chicago without being in a place like that. He would not. But after I'd been there a year and lived at the Elmer Club, then I got pretty cocky. I wanted to spread my wings a little, see. And the International House was next door. Do you know about the International Houses? Well, I think the Rockefellers built them. Gorgeous, great big buildings. I mean, they looked like great big hotels. And they were built for foreign students, see, that came to America. And of course, that was in the 30s, Hank. So, you know how, I mean, that was a long time ago. This was when there were very few foreign students that came over. But oh, the people you'd meet there, they was just marvelous. And of course, we would go over there and eat at their dining room occasionally. Although my meals were made up for me at the Elmer Club, we'd go over there occasionally just to get in on that, you know. And so I put in a little time there. The second year I lived at the International House for a little while, but then got an idea that I wanted to have an apartment, see. And Dad let me do it. And so I lived with Jane Brady through that whole thing. This Catholic girl from Illinois. And we moved from the International House into an apartment on the south side too, way out on 78th Street. And that's nothing but blacks now. All the way to the University of Chicago, it's all black. And the church had a chapel there on the university. It was called the University Ward. And that's where we went to church, very close to where we lived. And that's a black church now, even, see. So it's all black.
Is the School of Fine Arts a part of the University of Chicago?
No, it isn't. It was downtown. Number 8, Michigan Avenue, North Michigan Avenue.
So you got a degree there. What was your degree?
Fine arts. Of course, it was for...
interior decorating.
Yeah.
Do you remember visits by your mother and Mary Louise?
Oh, sure.
Tell me about
Mother
that.
used to come see me all the time. And Matt came to see me, and Mary Louise did. You know, when they'd get a vacation instead of coming home. Because that was quite a trip in those days. You had to go on the train and such. And Mother used to come see me quite a bit. In fact, we had our pictures done together. Do you remember seeing that? I've got a copy of it if you want it, of Mother and I. We went into a nice photography studio and had our pictures taken together. Mother must have been just a kid, you know, technically. But I wasn't conscious of that. But one time, Jane Brady was going, she was a Catholic, of course, and she was going with a fellow from, that was going to Notre Dame. I bring this up because it was Dad again, see. And of course he was, Notre Dame was top string at that time. And I mean everybody knew about this boy that she was going with. And of course it was very heady to be a part of it. We'd go to Notre Dame, you know, and get in on that.
End?
Yes. And you know, it was a real heady experience for us. Well, Dad came in one time when, on the caboose of a cattle train, see, and took us out.
This is now Chicago.
In Chicago. And of course, he was just putting up with all that, I'm sure, but I mean, it was so exciting because, of course, the Notre Dame team we conned him into taking us to a club, you know, that where the teams were, and oh, I mean, it was gorgeous, you know, wonderful. All that excitement and such. Because I'll tell you, when you're in college, those things are important, you know, the teams and such. And we went to the Black Hawk. That was the nightclub, you know, that we went to. It was downtown Chicago. He always was glad to take us out and those things. And when Mother would come, and we'd try to get Mother to do the same thing with us. And you know, I think about it now, and it was dumb for 3 or 4 women, and of course they'd be termed as women there. I mean, we're just kids with Mother going in these places, you know, but we wanted to get on with what was going on, you know. And she had the money to take us, and it was great fun, you know, we thought it was anyway. Yeah.
What happened right after your graduation? What did you do?
That's when, well, I got my call to go on my mission, see, while I was in Chicago.
How did that happen? Can you tell
well,
me?
You know, there again, I always half resented that mission because Dad just conned me into it. And Lloyd and Mac tell me today that Dad talked to them and said, "Now I want you to help finance. I mean, you're going to go to work to help finance because Ruth's going to go on a mission, see." Well, he just wanted me to go. And he was the bishop. And you know, nowadays they would give you an interview and you would express a desire to go and all this sort of thing. But I got my call while I was still in school in Chicago. I knew where I was going even. They had worked with Dad through the whole thing.
You hadn't had even an interview?
No, not anything. Not even an inclination about it. And Dad, and all of a sudden I get a letter from the church that I'm going to England on a mission.
Now, tell me, follow the trail now of how that happened. Once you got your call, then what happened?
Well, of course, as I say, I was still in school, and that would be at least, I mean, it couldn't have been any later than May, and I left in July, see.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, I didn't, and there again, I think Dad was just worried about me or the boys, see.